I'm going to show you guys how I do my green bean arch. The green beans grow over this. It's absolutely beautiful when it does. I love plants that vine. I am going to plant some orient yard pole beans here because I have had problems. I really like the Kentucky pole beans for flavor, but I have had problems the past couple of years with the Japanese beetles, and last year, I fought them and fought them and fought them, and it really affected my harvest. However, I did have some of the orient yard pole beans growing back in that bed, and the Japanese beetles did not bother them. So that's what I'm going to plant this year. These beans get 18, 22, yeah, you want to get them about 18 inches long. So they're the big, long 18-inch beans. So I think they'll look really cool on here. And all I've done to build this, and I've had this for several years. Now, it did collapse on me one year. So I do recommend using 3 of our stakes here because we had to reinforce it with this third one. It was full of green beans, and it came through a heavy rain, and I thought I was gonna die when I came home and saw my arch collapse, but I was able to salvage it. Yeah, so this is just some cattle fencing, and it locks in right here. I actually have a cord. I have my lights over it as well. As you can see, I love my garden lights at night. I do run an extension cord out here. I do have some solar lights, but they seem to be kaput this year. So that is how I've built this. And what's really cool is this cattle fence. It was actually my grandfather's. My dad gave it to me, a big roll, so it was my grandfather's. And I'm going to plant my green beans down here in a row, and they'll grow up over my arch. I am actually using seeds from last year. Well, actually, those were a couple of years ago. But I will try to find a picture to link in and show you guys what I'm growing here because it's actually really cool. I have dug about a 28-inch trench through here, and I can grow a plant every 4 inches. So I'm going to sprinkle some seeds through here and cover them up with some compost. I've got some organic chicken manure down in there, and then I'm going to cover them with compost, water them real good, and then as they pop up, I might thin them out a little bit. There's 2. So I've dropped 2 seeds roughly about every 4 inches, that way to ensure germination. In case one seed doesn't germinate, the other one will. All right, so I've covered them in my compost. Look at these worms that came out of my compost. My compost is full of them. It looks great. So I'm gonna get some hay, cover it up, and water it. Actually, I'm gonna do the other side too. So I've done the same thing on this side, dug a little trench here, and I'm gonna plant a couple of beans every 3-4 inches. All right, got it buried in my compost. The seeds in my compost. Look at my worms. This thing is full of worms. Buried them in my compost. Gonna put some hay over it, water it, and give it several days to germinate. So that's it. I've covered it in hay, both sides, and watered it down, and now we wait. So the orient beans are also known as a Chinese bean or asparagus bean, because honestly, when they're eaten raw, which I love eating raw green beans in the garden, they do have an asparagus taste to them, but when you cook them, they don't. So like I said, they get this big, and the Japanese beetles stayed off of them last year. I think I have read that the potatoes can help repel the Japanese beetles. So I might actually plant some Kentucky pole with my Idaho potatoes and see if the potatoes don't help keep it away. But yeah, so I've grown them for a couple of years now, and like I said, they seem to be really tolerant and resistant to disease and pests.